the Gonk Brive. Wow, that's... Chat, I'm just going to tell this just for you. Whoever's in here, this, you 5 of you watching right now, some of which are probably Lothanax. I just... Normally, if you're on a Discord, I type @ here live now. I just tried to type @ live here now. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Let's in reference to Axe's earlier question about how my feeling levels are, let's definitely keep that at 80%.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Take extra drink of water just to make sure.
Yeah, where's my No, it's not. Actually, I have... Oh, I remember now. I can't see it because it's on the other side of my bed. Please hold, chat. I'll switch the graphic for y'all. But I definitely shouldn't leave my bottle of water just standing on the floor where it could be kicked over, so hold on a second.
Hey, Caesar.
Okay. Hello. We're here. It's branded Despia today. And I do mean branded Despia. As discussed last week when we wrapped up Springans, timeline-wise, this is when we first start to see branded as primarily a spell trap archetype, though there are actually some branded monsters, and you will see some of them. But we're going to start working through some of that story stuff, but also this is about when the Despia get introduced. So it'll be funny to talk about them all at once because, as you can see from our top here, Branded Despia is a deck that is good. Branded Despia has been meta probably about since I think it coalesced after the Albaz Strike structure deck to now, actually.
It's still relevant somewhat. It's still like a major road deck.
I mean, I would argue it is still a meta contention deck in the right places. Literally, this deck, a Branded Despia deck, I should say, made top 16 at the Trinidad and Tobago Nationals just this month. Now, obviously, there are certain areas that are, a little behind in the meta, as it were, because of distribution and price and stuff. But, yeah, no, literally, this deck, started showing up in top cuts at, regionals and nationals in about June 22, and has continued to be relevant to this year in some form.
Yeah, it does that.
If I know my terminology right, would it be like to say it's like a tier 2, tier 3 deck kind of thing?
Yes, I believe so. It doesn't have that many top representations, but it does have a decent number of top cuts, and it does have a first place. The first place in the Shreveport, Louisiana regional was Branded Despia earlier this year.
From the swamps out came Branded Despia.
The thing is, it's more just you lose the tier in one turn and over singularly 45 minutes.
Yes, no. I don't think Branded Despia did anything in particular against tier limits, and also this is something most people will let you know. The reason why Branded, while still well played in Master Duel, is not as much of a winner is because most builds of Branded lose to Ash Blossom straight up. If you Ash the Aluber or the Branded Fusion at the right time, you die. You do nothing. Your deck doesn't do anything. And in Master Duel specifically, about 60% of decks are running Ash Blossom because, 89% of decks are running Max C? It's over 80%. It's a lot. So, you gotta beat the bug. So, basically, Branded combos, and even, even when you're saying, right, that, maybe not exactly quote-unquote Branded Despia, there are some just pure Branded builds or some other Branded hybrid builds, but most of those decks are probably still playing an Aluber. The Boober of Duber. I know, we gotta get the joke out of the way, because, he's important, and lots of other stuff, but yeah, there's quite a lot of action to go around here with these guys. Sorry, I just tapped over and saw what Lot said, you animal man. He's preserved
it's
my...
correct!
I know. you have preserved my shame for all eternity. Anyway, okay, so to break down these archetypes in mechanics terms, branded isn't really an archetype. There's like, let me actually check how many monsters there are that are quote unquote branded. It's like 4.
Also, Mega, I'm not making fun of you. I'm saying I'm a live hero now.
At live here. Let's see, branded.
Branded Dragon Maid is a deck. Yes, I had to run up against that a few times.
Yeah, I've seen it. I should probably try that. Like, personally, I'll say this. Like, me and most people on Master Duel probably got a little tired of the Albaz structure deck era branded, the Mirror Jade type. We're not getting to Mirror Jade for a little bit, but it's a tight deck that involves a lot of resources that if you didn't draw your hand traps, you're just like, well, what the fuck do I do about this? Unless I draw my exact specific hand trap, nothing stops this, you know, Lubellian asshole.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Lubellian, Ice Jade,
yeah.
all that fun
and
stuff.
Ice Jade has a fucking, like, Ab-Zero pop. It's a deck that is annoyingly consistent, but I don't actually think, like, in terms of, like, locking you out of the game, it's that bad. It's just kind of annoying to go against because I feel like they've honed it to a science. But yeah, no, I'm looking at it, I seriously think there's, like, 3. There's, like, at most 3 monsters that are actually technically branded. And only one of them, I think, has branded in his name.
Because it's like, most of the branded cards are the Bestials, which is way later.
Yeah. A couple of them are directly, the Bestials are directly linked to
Like, half of the branded spell traps are all Bestials.
I don't know about half. Basically,
A solid chunk.
there's a few, but in general, the way the branded spell traps work is they are basically a universal support kit for the rest of these Abyss archetypes. You will see some branded spells today, which are technically just the pure Albaz deck support. You will see some that only work for, or at least directly call to, Deathbia. Later, you're going to see some that are, you know, call out to Tri-Brigade builds, to Sword Soul builds, to some of them loop back around to being support for, Ritual Dogmatica and shit. And obviously, as Axe said, when we get to Bestials, those also have a decent amount of support framed as branded. So it kind of like, basically Konami kind of deliberately built these decks to be soup decks.
Welcome to the soup kitchen, motherfuckers.
Yeah, so you just kind of like slurry them all together. And yes, as Filthy Casual said,
you let us cook against your very will.
As Filthy Casual said, you would call this a series of cards, I believe. Technically,
Sure.
any of these you can call is a theme. That's usually how Konami refers to them, but yeah. Yes, also, Maximus is about to cause us some problems. But, so, we're going to start by basically concluding the Golgonda story by explaining where branded stuff be introduced. So, our first card, then, is actually... Let me double make sure I'm copying the image. I don't want to be as feisty as last time. Yes, okay. Here he is, the actual branded boy, the one and only, for realsies branded monster, Albion the Branded Dragon. He is a dragon.
Hey, look, it's Britain.
It's
Yeah.
weird how it's like, there's a joke about it being like Gaviarg or something. But it's one of my actually more favorite ones of all of the actual branded dragons.
It's pretty good. It's simple. He's glowing red.
It's like the effect on his scales.
Yeah, it's a good draw. He's kind of like molten. But yeah, so this is Albion the Branded Dragon. This is very explicitly Albaz during the Golgonda saga. They run into, you know, the Great Serpent, and Albaz is like, you know what? Fuck you. Becomes a giant dragon.
He just kind of loses his shit for a while.
Yeah, he gets a little mad. And fights, you know, Supreme Sovereign Duke Golgonda. But yeah, this is like our one big monster that is actually called Mr. Branded. He is technically the kind of form that, you know, wombo combos with the direct branded version, though there are also some follow-ups here. And we'll see some other kind of, like, opposites for what they do. The name Albion is very clearly supposed to refer to similarly to Albaz's name is originally Albus, as in white. That's the same place where the root word of Albion as a archaic form for Great Britain. So there's a lot of, you know, back and forth. But this is the one that ties directly into the branded archetype. It involves Albaz and a light monster is the materials. And yeah, he's just getting he's just a little mad. He's just a little nuclear right now. So this is a Dark Dragon Fusion. Level 8, 2500 attack, 2k defense. As I said, just Albaz plus a light monster. If this card is fusion summoned, you can fusion summon a level 8 or lower fusion monster from your extra deck except Albion by banishing material. Mention on it from your hand, field, and or graveyard. During your end phase of this card in your graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can add to your hand or set a branded spell trap directly from your deck. You can use each of these effects once per turn. Albion's a pretty good card. Obviously, the Lubellian form is preferred for its fusion effect because it shuffles back rather than banishes. But Albion was how you could do that before that.
I've seen people Lubellion into Albion before.
Yeah. It works when you've got the mats. And obviously, Albion was printed first. I would also say the Graveyard Ditch effect does give it a lot of synergy with the various ways that all of these decks have to send cards from their extra. And you'll know that says add or set. Hey, you know what Ash Blossom does not stop and has never stopped? Set from deck.
Mm-hmm.
So I think even at this early point, keep in mind this came out in Lightning Overdrive in 2021, about 2 years ago. But even then, Konami was like, "Oh shit, this archetype is gonna fucking lose if you smell an Ash Blossom. We got to give them a way to play around that." So you can choose to add or set directly to your deck. I don't know if Albion is as popular as some of the other later, you know, better wombo combos, but still a pretty good one. I should also point out, trivia-wise, the term they use for branded raccoon, that's basically another wordplay. It's pronounced the same as, I think it's pronounced the same as, yeah. The word they use for Albaz, empty child, right? You know, basically calling him illegitimate. That is also said as raccoon, just different kanji. So, I don't necessarily know why they went with branded, because that doesn't necessarily do the same wordplay as fallen. But as seen earlier, it's not like they could call them, you know, the bastard archetype.
Or the Stigmata.
Yeah. I mean, there's some cards that reference stigma later, not specifically stigmata. That's very
well. They
religious,
probably
but...
looked at the diamonds appearing on people and went branded. Yes.
Well, they are discussed as brands, so yeah, it's just kind of interesting how they couldn't make that wordplay work, so they just stuck with branded. Though
Also,
there were some interesting mishaps. I'm sure some people in chat may remember. We'll talk about it more in detail, but Aluber technically needed an errata because he was misprinted.
So, just quickly, two things. One, big Dragon Dog energies.
Yeah.
I know we stepped away from World Chalice, but Jesus Christ, Dragon Dog energies.
He is the dragons.
And secondly, you said he's going nuclear. Yeah, he's fighting alongside of in the era or arc with the fucking missile people. He turned himself into a nuke.
Yeah. Listen, it's hot in that desert. But we can actually... You could also alternatively say this is him going Super Saiyan, because let me pull up the card that actually, you know, represents this transformation. It's branded in white. which led to many, many jokes. I understand internet. I've been in this community for like at least these past 2 years. Actually, honestly, since like 2020, I've been like back into Yu-Gi-Oh. So I've heard them all.
I more just think about the actual, like, I forget, it's 18th century cosmology and alchemy stuff that it's actually about.
Yeah,
in these places,
it's related to the mythology of William Blake. They don't actually go the full, like, classical alchemy because there should be, like, 4 phases, you know, reddening, whitening. I think is it called yellowing or goldening? And
they
then
kind of show with,
darkening.
like, how it's because Albaz and Aluber kind of make each parts of those 4 parts in a weird way.
Again, we'll discuss this greater when we actually get to Despia and show Aluber for the first time, but those 2 guys are very clearly meant to be kind of equals and opposites, kind of, and I think in the flavor text for Aluber's token, it specifically says how he is, you know, shaved off. Also, yes, Loth posted an Avatar State GIF. This is also what this reminds me of, but yeah, motherfucker going Super Saiyan.
Good, I'm not the only one who thought of that.
He's juicing. So it's branded in white.
I mean, I
also,
think the
yes,
card
this is. We'll be talking about Sword Souls later, Chris Edward. Probably not tonight because I don't want to run too long. I'm still getting over being sick, and there's a lot of shit going on. But yes, there's some interesting story stuff there, and we'll lead into that a little. I think it's time to later in this episode to show Ecclesia the Virtuous, because while she name checks Sword Souls, she is not technically part of any archetype. And is definitely related to this branded stuff. But branded in white, it's a fusion spell, actually. It's a normal spell. Fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck using materials from your hand or field as material, including a dragon monster. You can also banish monsters from your graveyard as material if you use Fallen of Albaz from your hand or field or banishing it. So during the end phase of the cards in the graveyard, because it was set the effect to activate the effect of Fallen of Albaz, you can set this card. So it's not as good as branded in red, which we will be talking about later because that is very much more of a Despia card. But branded in white is a decent first run of the fusion spell for this archetype. Basically, it's a perfectly normal polymerization so long as you're using a dragon somewhere in there. That opens it up in a lot of decks. But if you specifically use Albaz, you can also banish the same, making it good as a, whatchamacallit, Dragon's Mirror type target. Honestly, if Red Eyes fusions were a little more flexible, I could try to run branded Red Eyes, but that probably won't work as well because the Red Eyes fusions
Red
are
Eyes
dumb.
cards.
But this is still pretty decent because obviously it also sets itself up to be used. It's not a dead card in hand if you want to use Albaz's Super Poly effect, because basically it says, hey, if you discard me to activate Albaz, I come back. So it's a pretty decent card. It's just not as explosive as I think later branded fusion cards are, but still a good one.
Yep.
So he, goes Super Saiyan. And then make sure. I grab this one. Let me blow it up. Let me get it. Make sure I get it bigger. Screams of the branded. He's mad. He's hit his enrage timer. He's mad. You can briefly see Duke Golgan at the bottom there.
I was like, he's activated the Kaiju battle cutscene.
Yes, this is the part where
16 here.
I mean, honestly, we haven't talked about that much yet, but like, I do think that Final Fantasy 16 is probably the best format for what the Abyss game would look like, because Albaz does do stuff on foot, but also sometimes he's just a giant fuck you dragon.
Honestly, I feel like that would work because it'd just be a bunch of levels and like comboing and a bunch of books. There's a bunch of good enemy type variety for like the
I think the only thing is they'd have to actually coordinate it so you'd have multiple playable characters, because
Ecclesia.
you'd want to control Ecclesia and probably Kit at certain points.
And then Fleur would be there, would be a temp character for like the beginning and middle of the game, and that was it.
Yeah. But yeah, this is
So
Screams of the Branded. It's an action shot.
This gives big similarities to fucking Interrupted Kaiju Slumber.
Yeah, it is kind of. It's got a similar shot comp and speed lines. But yeah, no, he's going to get in there. This is a pretty normal trap. Literally, it's a normal trap. If a fusion monster was sent to your graveyard this turn, special summon one of your fusion monsters that was banished or in your graveyard. During your end phase, if you discard it to activate Fallen of Albaz, you can set it. So you can see where this first wave of branded spell traps is going. It's trying to be like, okay, so people are going to... We at Konami understand we are going to make an Albaz-focused deck, in about 6-ish months? Somewhere between 6 to 8 months from when this card came out in Lightning Overdrive. And I'm pretty sure it was Leo. Yeah, it was Leo. Just had to double check. They released the Albaz Strike structure deck, so they understood they were going to be billing Albaz as basically a solo deck. So cards like Branded in White, Screams, are intended to reward that playstyle, diversify it, give you some recovery options. Again, later they ended up printing cards like Lubellion, so it's not really needed anymore, but for a first wave of support, this was a decent attempt. And it does have, a wide variety of funny synergy. All right, and then... So, Branded in White is he goes Super Saiyan. Screams of the Branded is he fights the Duke. And then our end result is this one, Judgment of the Branded, which is a giant fuck you lightning bolt comes down and slaps the shit out of Duke Golconda and Albion.
He looks like he's...
Actually, make sure this friend...
He looks like it's just he got caught in the fucking bug zapper.
Oh.
It's funny how because later it's not till I think sets later we actually learned Fleur did that. For a long time we didn't know what the fuck happened.
Yeah, it's just a thing that goes places. I think it's probably
she just has the indignation as
not
an
branded.
attack.
Springen's Intruder, because that's the card that bridges to the Sword Soul East coming in. But yeah, Judgment of the Branded. We stop the kaiju battle with a giant fuck you lightning bolt. But this card is another normal trap that says target one level 8 or higher fusion monster you control. Destroy all monsters your opponent controls with equal or higher attack than that monster. During your end phase of the cards in the graveyard, because you sent it to activate Fallen of Albaz, you can set it. So it has the same recovery effect that a lot of these run of branded cards do. And honestly, as a card you can set off cards like Albion and other shit. Not awful, It's designed to prevent your guys from getting just run over, because it's like, oh, everybody who's big, die. But yeah, so... I need to grab a slightly different one. So, Albaz is still a little nettled from being exploded. But don't worry, he has friends. It's Branded Bond. So, as the aftermath, you can see that Albion is starting to kind of cool down a little, probably from being struck by lightning. And here's Ecclesia, walking up to being like, go for the classic anime friends hug.
It's all right, I'm here.
Yeah. And in the valuable book EX2, it is explicitly described. It was stated in their tokens that Ecclesia is the one who gave Albaz his name, because he has complete amnesia, doesn't fucking know anything about anything. So she called him Albaz first.
It kind of says a lot, but she made a name off the pun of the name of the land.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so she calls out to him with this name, and that makes him remember, like, oh yeah, what was I doing? But yeah, I really like the color transition on this art, by the way. Like, the patches of kind of like where he's cooling and smoking versus still red hot.
I honestly feel like some of the art for Abyss stuff is actually really high level of just is really good. I feel like someone broke their learned a few their comp teeth on this a lot of times with the texturing and lighting and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what tools every Yu-Gi-Oh artist uses, but somebody probably went to the nines for some of this detail work.
It's because they pushed it a bit.
Yeah, because there's this one's it's obviously not the most detailed. The background is basically just an effect. They've got kind of the interplay of white smoke and just fiery color. So it's not like a highly detailed backdrop, but still, like, there's the scale details, the transition to cooling, the smoke, the color play. And, of course, you still got Ecclesia out here, and the smoke and the embers. A lot of detail work went into this.
Also,
so, good?
It's a weird that we brought it up, but it's like, now that I think about all of Ecclesia's story, I just weirdly get Castoria vibes, and how I feel like if they ever had her say full line, she'd be like that.
Probably. I think Ecclesia is supposed to be a little more... Like, obviously, she's supposed to be very nice and kind, but also kind of, feisty. Albaz is definitely a broody emo anime boy, y'all. Like, I hope you picked that up on that. I mean, yes, he's a complete amnesiac, but no, I feel like his art is normally, he is like a kind of, quiet and brooding because he doesn't understand what the fuck is happening right now. Anyway, Branded Bond is a normal spell card. Special summon one of your Fallen of Albaz that is banished in your hand or in your graveyard. Note, that says Fallen of Albaz, not Fallen of Albaz cards, so that is exactly cards that say they are Fallen of Albaz, or that their name is Fallen of Albaz, because there's a couple of those.
A few of them.
During the end phase of the cards in the graveyard, because you sent it off Fallen of Albaz this turn, you can set it. So it has the same branded recovery card we expect. And in general, is just a good way to get your Albazes to trigger, because it lets you special summon them from banished hand or graveyard. I don't actually know if this one is used much, but I could see it being used in certain brews of the deck. So, we keep moving on to round out some more of our ones. It's time for new Albaz, Hudis. Oops, got the small version again. What are you doing to me, Google? Well, at least it's not, like, forgetting. Wow, it really doesn't want to load. Okay. Chrome, you've definitely got the image, right? Okay. Thank you. Jesus. Not sure why it took it so long to fully process the back end on that one. Anyway, this is Albion the Shrouded Dragon. Specifically, in Japanese, this was Kurogoryu Albion, so Albion the Black Shrouded Dragon. Kind of playing into some of those color themes before, but they went for just Shrouded.
That looks cool.
Yeah, so this is Albaz 2, which is basically, it's Albion after he's stopped being so 200% mad.
It's the weird thing of, I think it's the anime thing of, you rage boost it into your new form, and then you power it down, so now your base is higher.
Something like that, yeah. But yeah,
You control the rage.
Also, I think, for plot stuff we're going to discuss, I also think he may have just decided to stay a dragon because it's much more convenient. I don't actually know how they got to the Desert Golgonda, but being able to just put Ecclesia on his back and fly places is very handy.
I think it's only when they go to the Sword Soul Land does he change back so you can actually talk to them.
So,
he can't speak in this form.
As Albion the Shrouded Dragon, he does fly Ecclesia to Sword Soul Mountain, which we will discuss at a later date. But yeah, this is Albion the Shrouded Dragon, aka Albaz 2. I like it as kind of a good comparison to the Albion art, but now that he's calmed down, his color scheme is much more Albaz, right? But yeah, this is another Dark Dragon effect. Level 8, 2,500 attack, 2k defense, same stats as Albion, just a main deck monster. This card's name becomes Fallen of Albaz while it's on your field or in your graveyard. So he becomes Albaz in certain play states. If this card's in your graveyard, you can send a Fallen of Albaz or a branded spell trap from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and then apply the following effects based on where this was sent from, or where the card was sent from. If you pitch that card from your hand, you special summon Albion. If you send a card from your deck, you put Albion at the bottom of the deck. And if it was in your hand, you draw a card to replace it. This card, not usually at 3 copies, but you do usually see a couple of him teched in, because remember, in graveyard, he is Albaz, which opens up some of your fusion possibilities. And he does have a way to get himself into the graveyard, depending. So, it's a very cute little Wambo Cambo. Remains very flexible. And I feel like, in terms of deck build, like, story-wise, obviously, this is pretty cool to show that, like, Albaz can maintain his dragon form without necessarily being, freaked out and mad all the time.
He's reobtaining his power.
Yeah, because cards like Brigrand and Titanic Lad were, he was basically uncontrollable and raging. Sprind was just a jet that was also a dragon.
I think he just took He just took mental control of it.
Yeah, he just, flew it. But this is like, okay, so it's cool to see this kind of transition. And also, it's good mechanically because it means that you can have effectively, copies 4, 5, and 6 of Albaz. Like I said, I don't think most decks actually run that many copies because he doesn't have the Super Poly effect.
I
But
think it's
having
Ashes is also better or something.
yeah, having a large, a level 8 Dark Dragon with large stats as a fusion material option, is useful. So, he's around there. And then, let's also show off, because it is time, even though mechanically I won't be able to explain what's up. It's time for Ecclesia 2. Now with shorts.
Hammer.
Yes. And her hammer is... Let me see if I can grab which guy it was supposed to be.
Yeah, it's a skull from one of the spell traps from last week, but also I think there was a guy in there.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a whole thing of like that one Spriggan.
Yeah, so it's
Part of the party now.
the dragon skull from Branded Booty?
Springen Booty?
Yeah, no, Spring and Booty, yeah. Basically, after they fight with Golgonda, she gets a dragon skull and turns it into her new hammer. But as you... and actually, I can grab her concept art. If it'll... There it is. Also because it's very funny, so... This is her concept art as well. You can see new jacket. Kit made it. That's the card art we were referencing before. But explicitly, there is a Springen in her hammer.
The goggles at the bottom left.
Yeah, no. Also, Kit got her some goggles, so now they're goggles friends. But yeah, so she has a Springen in her hammer.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah.
These
Sorry.
concept arts add so much character.
Yeah, I'm glad the valuable books start adding more concept art and stuff, but let's
I
look at normal card art.
You know?
Just the little Springen at the bottom end is just like, man.
Yeah.
It's like helping
I
me
also-
crush.
Oh, you cut yourself.
No. I was finished.
Oh, okay. I just love that Albion just there. It's like, what are you doing? What's happening?
Yeah. Why is your hammer a rocket?
I meant the concept art where it's like, what's the whole deal?
Oh yeah. Technically, I think that's an Albion for scale,
Oh, okay. He also looked like he was just confused.
but they do also show him in the card art. So yeah, he's just kind of like hanging out there. But yes, so this is the
Great
second
sword.
version of Ecclesia. Oh, it's okay. It's supposed to be. It's explicitly Rocky. Okay. So yeah,
sweet.
Rocky gets in her hammer to hang out with her. And yes, as somebody in chat said, it's a very much a Monster Hunter hammer.
Yep.
But yeah,
You
no.
have a rocket powered
Good
great
card
sword.
art, good costume switch. Oh, hey, chat, look. You can see there's a little Springen hand coming out of the hammer. Just a little wave.
Oh, yeah. That's adorable. He's photobombing.
Yeah. Like Ecclesia's posing like she's, being all Billy badass. And Rocky's got his
She's even-
game face on in the hammer, but also he's just like, meh.
She's like, because it also looked like she's like waving some of the flames around her with her other hand.
Sorry, I can't tell if Albion is like asleep over there, or if he's staring at the hand like, what the fuck?
I think he's staring at the hand. Because this would be, before they all fly off. But yes, so, this is interesting, talking about the various coloration themes. This is Incredible Ecclesia the Virtuous, obviously in English, but in Japanese it is Shiro no Seijo Ecclesia, so Ecclesia the White Saint. So you
Means
get a lot of
something
this
very different.
red-white interplay. They kind of, the way the TCG handles this, they do unfortunately lose the colors, which is a little sad but not necessary. But they kind of apply, basically virtue names later. The Incredible application probably could have been something a little better, but yeah, here we are. Incredible Ecclesia the Virtuous is a light spellcaster tuna. This is a tuna Level 4, 15/15. So very similar stats as regular Dogmatic Ecclesia, but she is now a Tuna. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon this card from your hand. You only special summon Incredible Ecclesia once per turn this way. You can only use each of the following effects of Incredible Ecclesia once per turn. During your main phase quick effect, tribute this card, special summon a Sword Soul or Fallen of Albaz from your deck or hand. During the end phase, if a fusion monster is sent to your graveyard this turn, add this card from your graveyard to your hand. So obviously we're not going to get into the Sword Soul synergy she has, though that it is a Synchro archetype, and she is a tuner, so there is some interplay there. But, obviously you can kind of see, where her relationship is with these new decks. She's obviously leaning in towards the Sword Soul stuff we're going to discuss probably in a couple of weeks, because next week should be the poll results, which you people have been absolutely savage on. We'll talk about that more later. But also, still, she is a Sidra, a tuner. She is a light target, which matters for some decks. And obviously, you can use her you can tribute her to summon Albaz, which would trigger the Albaz Super Poly effect. So, from deck, by the way. So yeah, Ecclesia 2 is an incredibly flexible card that has been seen in a lot of variants of this deck. Obviously, like I said, she has been in some Sword Soul builds, she's been in some branded Albaz builds, all kinds of stuff.
Weird how it's fun how it's like a lot of the archetypes nowadays are the ones that are becoming the ones that are relevant. Even though a dumb thing I remember is everyone doesn't care about Starfrost at all.
I mean, unfortunately, the Visa Starfrost lore is a lot more esoteric.
Very Hindu.
It's very, I would say it's very Japanese in that it's
Shinto, yeah.
It's not necessarily Shinto. It's got a lot of like esoteric Buddhism stuff in it. Many worlds, many realms, the different sins. So it's a lot more about like alternate selves and weird self-reflection.
And like the dark Buddha, the negative Buddha, and the physical Buddha.
Yeah. So like it's interesting, but I think it lacks punching power. There's also the fact that unfortunately it has spawned two of probably the most divisive archetypes we've seen in quite a while in both Tearlaments and Kashtira.
And archetypes that were relatively really good.
Yeah.
Overall, so.
Okay, but I need to grab the individual token arts.
I guess it means sorrow. I guess it means that sorrow and rage are very strong over most things.
Actually, okay, yeah. Somebody, no, they got a watermark. I won't do that. So I mentioned tokens, right? So this is a token art, official token card art. This is Albaz the Shrouded. This is possibly in the Albaz deck. And the other half of this is... Yep, I knew it would be big. Literally the other half, by the way. I mean, there's a little bit of gap there because they don't line up one-to-one. I think if you get, like, this as a mat, there's a playmat version that's the two. But yeah, that's Ecclesia the Exiled, Albaz the Shrouded. This is technically them camping out before they get caught by the Springans. You can see that Ecclesia doesn't have her horns and does have her previous coat, which has got kind of some purple, so I assume it was from Fleur-de-Lis.
One thing is I can see is that there is like the middle line where it's like Ecclesia is like to the left and down a little. It feels like it lines up more, but there's a middle line missing, which was probably in the mat.
Yeah, there's definitely like a separation of this card art, exactly. But she's got
the most important party member, the bird.
Yeah, they've got the Mercurial with them. I like how Albaz, by the way, is like doing his classic anime brooding thing by soulfully looking at this piece of bread.
Just hears whispers of how many breads have you eaten in your lifetime.
Yeah, but you can see he's got kind of like, he's got his little horn and his dragon pearl there. But they're chilling, eating bread, campfire. Beautiful backdrop in this, by the way. Like, there's the bone skeleton, obviously, but there's, like, the pillars and the shooting stars. Really well done. So, the flavor text of Albaz the Shrouded, which, again, in Japanese was Kokui no Abasu, Albus the Black Shrouded. It says, does his name refer to a past buried in darkness or to a bright future? And then Ecclesia the Exiled. Her flavor text says, a pure white heart to be filled with many memories. With thoughts of coming days in mind, the girl gifts a name to the boy. Which also implies, by the way, that Albaz was not called Albaz until right now. Which would mean quite a lot of shenanigans happened. Yes, Vanadium is only okay. But yeah, so, you know, they got some stuff going on. They're doing the two things. But we're not going to talk about the card in depth because we've already discussed it during Dogmatica. But I would like to remind everybody what's going on here. So, meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom, the Dogmatic Calamity is happening. Maximus is opening the goop.
It's not goop. It's a dimensional rift, dude.
Yeah.
There's nothing goopy about it. It's all more cosmically terrifying.
Well, I don't know about that. There are some
lightning
cards
bolts.
in Despia and later that are a little gooey, but no, he's you know, activating all of his secret seals and all 666 commandments, and they're doing the thing.
Old evil man, lightning, infinite power.
Yes, Bad Pope opens the hellhole. Turns out he was a theater kid. Weird, I know. But yes, this is where we're going to...
The Pope was an edgy theater kid.
We're going to transition then to our Despia. But first, look at him. It's Luber. This is the token artwork for Aluber the Dogmatic.
Ah, now that I get to see him up close, it looks a lot like Albaz.
Yeah, you can see he's got a horn, but he has a red gem in it. This is also him with his, you know, Despian mask off. He's got his weird little void tentacles, though. The flavor text for Aluber the Dogmatic is, a thing separated from the abyss. It mocked the light and deceived the darkness. So, once again, reminding you true final boss vibes.
Sorry, I just had a moment. I looked at his eyes. His right eye looking in, it looks so derpy.
Yeah, this is a blow-up off Deviant art. It looks like they tried to shade the color on his eye a little bit, the reflections, and it's not working out well. But you can... I think that his expression looks better because if you play Master Duel, this is the card art they used for the Aluber icon. But hey, speaking of which, guess what? He's first on our list. I mean, technically it should be ad libitum, but we're going to start with Aluber. Because it's funnier. Alright, nope, that's my notepad. Oh, I should actually move that to the other monitor. So there he is, Aluber.
No,
The Jester of Despia. He's exploding out of fireworks. He doesn't look...
There's a lot of riffs on him.
Yep. I mean, he had those in the other ones, but he's got kind of like horns of the void tendrils.
Yeah,
he also
like
apparently can make fire. That's weird. I mean, you know, I'll be honest. Homie looks a lot hotter without the mask.
Yes.
But
also, he's got that stupid fucking one finger claw thing.
Yes, which is
so
also
often.
shooting fire. it's because he's a huge nerd. I mean, otherwise, the drip is pretty good. You know, he's got the like Harlequin checkerboard, but he's also got the red and gold.
Yeah, minus the mask, it'll just be a better outfit.
Yeah, it's very solid. So, again, I'm sure most of you understand. Sorry, I'm using Wikipedia's entry on Master Duel to make sure to get the card arts because they haven't rebuilt all their back end to check the archetypes. I just realized that this motherfucker's semi-limited Master Duel. What the fuck?
They
What
were
the
trying.
fuck?
Weird, they're still trying weird shit.
What?
Oh, yeah,
You semi-limited
Wolf
branded
Bandless?
fusion, but and you're gonna put Eradicator Epidemic to 1? You better be getting. I better be getting Big Lab if you're putting Eradicator to 1. Yeah, they're putting Empin to 1, Sheeran to not Sheeran. Sorry, Suliak, the trap card. I think it has Sheeran on it. Eradicator to 1, Branded Fusion to 2, Sprite Jet to 2, by the way, Swap Frog to 2. Even though Toad is banned and Metaverse is going to 3, it's bad. It's not good. How is this guy still semi-limited? I mean, I don't necessarily want.
Master Duel is doing weird things with its ban list.
I understand some of their logical traits. It's just the fact that every day they leave Master Duel unhit means everything they say about, oh, we adjust our ban list based on the play ratio is a lie.
Well,
Yeah,
actually,
it is a lie.
honestly,
82%.
I have seen. So I did some research. I've done some research on my own personal time. It turns out, besides Maxi being one of the most played cards ever, there is a interesting theory amongst the OCG players that they feel like if Maxi is banned, that most people will leave in the OCG.
Well, I
And
mean,
it also says that most pro players in the OCG would rather play TCG because it has Maxi. Because it doesn't have Maxi.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, if the OCG players feel like Maxi is such a like casual prop, I say cut him. I mean, I don't know. If they're saying that out loud, Konami might think that those guys are like their real player base. I don't know. I feel like internationally, like the TCG type audience for Master Duel is super huge, and those people who go on Twitch and advertise your game for free and yell about it would be a lot happier if you banned Maxi. So I don't know. It seems like kind of like pluses and minuses, but I don't think, does chat, you double check me on this. Has Konami actually ever said what their results on their surveys were like? I don't think they have. Because they've conducted like 2 or 3 different full surveys, and I suspect Ban Maxi is a write-in on a lot of those. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm not plugged in to the OCG, and I understand there is a little bit of a fundamental like difference in how the general OCG populace approaches the game, kind of like sportsmanship wise. I've told the story before on here in chat about how the OCG doesn't actually have like clean and direct surrender rules. Surrendering is done by mutual agreement. You and your opponent have to come to an understanding that you are capitulating.
They're agreeing to split the prize, essentially.
Not really, because you still take a loss. It's just that, I don't know. Apparently, like, in the OCG, you can't just concede. It has to be a collab, which is really weird because in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime and manga, characters are shown conceding at any time. You can literally touch your deck and fold any time.
Well, it's because narratively viable, not because it's they don't want people to stop being able to. You can't stop it from comboing. Don't be a dick.
Wow.
Like that kind of mindset.
Yeah, but that's anybody who says you can't stop me from comboing is an asshole and should be fired out of a cannon.
But I mean, yeah, but like go do that to,
gatekeep,
like, half the
girl
Japanese
boss,
player base.
gaslight those people out of all hobbies.
Well, hey, that's the only mindset I feel like that. It's the only reason I can understand why they made that decision.
I assume it's a weird like sportsmanship or time reg thing, or maybe it's something they kept over from because they do play more best of one like casual format locals in the OCG. So maybe like they just had to come up with it. It's really funny though. Because of this reason, Victory Dragon is banned on both sides of the ocean. Because apparently what OCG players would do is, because they can't just concede at any time, they would go out of their way to do minor misplays to get DQ'd from the game, but not lose the match rather than get Victory Dragon. It's nuts.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Because it's basically the reverse of the fight that would happen in the TCG. In the TCG, Victory Dragon is banned because your opponent would go to declare an attack with Victory Dragon, and your opponent would just scoop, and you don't get the match win effect, and you'd call a judge and be upset, but you can surrender at any time in the TCG. It's weird. Anyway, sorry, we got into a banless tangent. So we should say a little about Despias as well before we get into what Aluber actually does. The Despias, I don't think it's fair to say, for the most part, we would not say that the Despias are demons. Not necessarily. Because their actual makeup is a wombo combo. They involve both dark fairies and light fiends. So they are definitely supernatural, but they are kind of reversed from what we would normally expect. Keep in mind, remember, in the OCG, fairy is explicitly angel, and fiend is explicitly demon. So, Akuma and literally and Senshi. So, you got this interesting interplay. So they're kind of, reversed. They are also out of our different extra deck types that we've been introduced to before in this. Obviously, Dogmatica were completely anti-extra deck in all ways. Springans are about Xyz summoning. Tri-Brigade were all about link climbing. Obviously, Albaz himself is about fusion, and so is Despia. The name Despia or Despian, which is used sometimes for some, is basically a play on thespian, which is a very fancy way to say of the theater. And then explicitly it is said to use the elements of despair and death. The death part is probably more from the OCG where, death is still des. But it reads more like despair in the TCG. So, yeah, there's a little bit of a wombo combo. Some of our Despias you will understand as basically regroupings of Dogmatica cards, and others are kind of out there on their own. Aluber here is kind of interesting because he is completely independent, and honestly, from just this card art, only looks a little like Albaz. You'd only, by looking at it super close, be like, he's kind of got the same hairstyle, though his, hair colors are very different, and he's got the little horn gem thing, but you could easily write it off. It's, in the token and stuff, like, well, I said this earlier. Sorry, hold on. Oh, I had to clear my sinuses a little. But, yeah, so there's some interesting build-up here. But what Alonker does here, Alonker the Chonker, he is a Dark Fairy. Level 4, 1800 attack, 0 defense. I think that's the exact same stats as Albaz, though obviously he is a fairy, not a dragon. Think about that one. If this card is normal or special, add a branded spell trap from your deck to your hand. If a face-up fusion monster you control is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect while this card is in your graveyard, target effect monster your opponent controls, special summon this card, and if you do, negate that monster. You're going to use each one effect per turn and only once that turn. So, yeah, you've seen this guy in about a bajillion cards. Obviously, he is called a Despia card, and he interacts with fusion cards, but Aluber's not really a Despia card. And I think this goes to that flavor text we saw in his token earlier, right? Betray the light, mock the darkness, or whatever. Aluber's really doing his own thing, which is branded stuff. However, when normal or special, he does search you a branded spell trap, which does include the branded in red, branded in white, and then later branded fusion, which is usually what you're using him to grab. If you already have a fusion in hand, there are some specific spell traps you might grab instead, but usually you're using Aluber to search your fusion spells to set some stuff up. So, I mentioned this earlier, but when he was originally translated, he was originally previewed, he said that he was for searching Despia or Despian spell traps. These don't exist. Or at least didn't exist at the time. And obviously it was clearly meant to be for the branded spell traps, but the TCG, I think, must have had a miscommunication about what they were going to call the branded spell traps. Possibly, you know, the OCG department had to step in and be like, oh, hey, those are actually like an entirely separate thing. And they were like, oh.
Did he get eroded?
Yes, no, he's been eroded.
Okay.
He got like a day one errata. Actually, considering he came out late in 2021, you know, it's only been a couple of years, has been reprinted a lot of times. Obviously, it makes sense because he's important, but also, yeah. He was originally in Dama. He was also in Ghost from the Past Second Haunting, which is about, you know, a few months later. He was printed in the 2022 tin and was part of an OTS pack. But yeah, so Aluber is out here clearly doing his own shenanigans. And we'll cycle back to that one. But we do have a bunch of other despotums to look at. First of all, once again, revealing to you just how fucking extra these guys can be. This is Ad Libitum of Despia. Can you guess which guy he used to be?
Gee, I wonder who.
Yeah.
My guess is Zhang He from Dynasty Warriors.
So it turns out all the Ashians were just puppets.
No, I think they were guys. But
Well,
he might
no,
have
they always typically said that all the Despians were objects that were animated.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Like how Maximus was actually just... Actually, no, Maximus was...
no, I think
object,
Maximus
but
is a
also
guy.
not.
We'll see later. This might be
Kinda.
the split between the fiends and the fairies. Ad libitum is a dark fairy, so he is an
guess,
evil
is
man.
Is what Maximus became a fairy, or...
I don't know yet. I'll check in a second.
Okay.
We'll get there later.
Alright.
But yeah, this was Ashian. Honestly, you're not really that different. Just a lot less subtle about it.
There we go.
But yeah, so he's got, the weird black bone claws. Apparently Ashian was hiding a fucking wasp waist down there. Big poofy pantaloons. Big floofy cape.
Guy just has no mass.
Where is he hiding the giant S horn sticking out of his head?
He grew that.
I don't know if that's supposed to be a horn or that's just his hair. I don't actually know. It could be in motion. If you guys don't get this card's name, it's very fancy. Ad libitum means as you like in Latin. That is the origin of the phrase ad-libbing. So, he's ad-libbing, y'all. He's making up his own lines.
Despian, as you wish.
Kind of. So yes, ad libitum here is, by the way, once again, I should say this, the excellent background work is back from Dogmatica. Admittedly, the country's, a lot more on fire now, but yeah. Look at that fine background work and the shading, the interplay of light and darkness, the extra void holes. Anyway, ad libitum is a dark fairy. Level 8, 1500 attack, 2k defense. Much like Ashian, his stats are shit for his level. During your main phase, you can make all monsters currently on the field gain attack equal to their own level times 100 until the end of your opponent's turn. If this card in your hand or field is used as fusion material and sent to the graveyard or banished, target one of your Despia monsters and one of your level 8 or higher fusion monsters that is banished in your graveyard, except ad libitum, special summon it. You only use each effect once per turn. I don't think anybody ever actually really got anything out of ad libitum's attack modulation effect. It's kind of a cute reverse of a card we're going to see later, but that's not actually helpful to make. Unless you've, managed to go, Raigeki, Feather Duster. Okay, I make a bunch of huge guys and OTK you. It's not really that helpful, because it's every monster on the field. That said, you, chat, if you have played Master Duel, have probably seen his second effect, where if he gets sent as material, he come back. Or rather, he make a guy come back. Which can be very annoying, because he can recycle their fusion monsters. That's kind of, I think, Despia and, in general, the branded sub-theme is they're very, very good at coming back. What's that supposed to mean? I don't know. But it do be like that. But first, whoops, I accidentally copy and pasted too many times. Oh no, this is also Dark Fairy. Okay. So yeah, I don't know. That said, looking at comedy here, you can see what Axe is talking about some of them being inanimate objects. Comedy is just a mask, a guillotine, and a weird Iron Maiden top. He might actually be referring to, like, part of a theater structure. Sorry. I am told that what this card is actually supposed to be based on is what the original etymology of sock was in Latin. Soccus, which is specifically, basically, the original version of socks were just thin-soled clown shoes. That was comedy. And then the other side is buskin, or sandals, which is for tragedy, more serious type. But yeah, so this guy is a literal sock puppet. Have fun, chat. Also, I'm going to be honest. I do not like this guy's color scheme. That yellow is way too garish.
It's
So,
very
speaking
low.
of sock puppets, Axe, did you watch the latest Mike Burnfire No Context video?
I don't think so.
No, there's a great sock puppet moment in
Oh,
there.
if you haven't seen, somebody should post that to webvid.
Yeah.
I
I'll go and
haven't
grab it.
watched all of the no context ones because it's like I was kind of waiting for them to do another series I actually wanted to watch.
Oh, it's
I mean,
good,
I think
though.
I assume the new California series might be completed because that's the one Love is
Yeah,
talking
but I didn't
about.
really want
But
to watch
it's
that one.
well, then you should just watch the out of context for the comedy bits.
Okay.
But yeah, so this guy. Yeah, he's got some laughing masks.
Stupid.
This is a Dark Fairy level 1. He's got 0 attack, 2k defense. If your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a face-up Despia cards you control, quick effect. Discard this card, negate. If this card's in your graveyard, quick effect, tribute 1 fusion monster, special summon this card. So, outside of branded Despia decks, Comedy doesn't have a lot of longevity, but I have seen him in brews because there aren't that many Despia cards, and yeah, the Subterror Fiendish type effect where it's like, oh, you're targeting me? No, you're not. Very popular. And it's only a -1. Unlike, say, if you ran Herald of Arclight. Not Herald of Arclight, Orange Light. You might run Arclight anyway because that's the one you send from the graveyard. You send it to the graveyard from the extra deck. But yeah, Comedy's kind of a normal card. Kind of mid, but still useful. But naturally, where there is Commedia, there must be Tragoedia.
Tragedy.
It's just been tragedy. Looking a lot more like a clown than the other one. But kind of a sad clown.
Murder clown.
Yeah. Also kind of looks vaguely like he's either made up of an hourglass or like a dressmaking bust. Like a costuming, mannequin.
Honestly, it always just feels like Luver pulled shit out of like the secret torture dungeon in the cathedral to make these things.
Yeah, he just grabbed whatever shit was lying around.
He went down into the dungeon and be like, okay, this all looks fun and brutal.
The reason why he has, I think, a lot of these weird like lines and stuff is because he is supposed to be based on the buskin, the sandal, but otherwise he doesn't look very sandal-like. He's just kind of a weird clown. But yes, if we have nothing further, White Relic was in this set, but we already showed off White Relic in the Dogmatica episode. But yes, technically this is when White Relic and technically the other one, what was the actual armor called? I don't remember. There you go. Sorry, I just cleared out my Discord notifications and got a new one. Okay. But yeah, technically those would have arrived around this
those
time.
Discord notifications are probably me.
No. So we had to
Also,
get some last
here you
minute
go,
digs
Axe.
in now.
Took me a bit. Specifically clipped for you.
Oh. That's why Log was being so quiet. He found just the joke he wanted to show. Dragadex is a Dark Fairy level 1. 400. If this card is sent to the graveyard and or banished by card effect, add 1 Despia monster from your deck to your hand, except Tragedy. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target a branded spell trap in your graveyard, set it to your field. You only use each effect once. You only use 1 effect per turn and only once that turn. Tragedy is very popular because it gets back your branded spell traps. Also, hey, you know what's being sent or banished by a card effect? Being fused.
Yep.
So yeah, Tragedy, very popular in these brews. Very good in these matchups. And now, let's find out a little bit about the big boy himself. It's him. It's Hims. The Dramaturge of Despia.
Is that meant to be Maximus?
Yes.
Oh my god, he has Givelto rings from fucking Pokemon Y.
Wow.
Yeah.
Triple circle.
Yeah, he's. I mean, so the phrase dramaturgy, that literally is the study of the art of drama. So if this is the dramaturge, like, this is the most drama one. He is the drama man, and boy howdy can you tell. Look at this outfit. He's got a weird spiky iron halo. He's got giant fuck you claw nails. His pants are the poofiest. He's got the fucking pointed clown shoes like he's Dio Brando out in here. Look at this man.
You got to become the demiurge you wanted, or I guess you became the demagogue you wanted to become.
Yeah. The demiurge part, that's later. We haven't yet evolved into a giant pile of gods.
Honestly, I think so.
With all the holes in his wings there, can you imagine how many coats he could hang up?
Oh,
That's
that's claws. Yeah.
I mean, it's like the most law thing I've heard all month.
Just like get a coat hanger, just yep.
But it's like, I just think of a weird chaos, a chaos thing of. There's always that one dude that like trades out his entire army to get fucking covered in blessings of the chaos gods to like this. He's got that vibe of just like I've sold everyone else's lives for my own benefit.
And that
I
is
see.
technically what happened, because this is Maximus, so he is the holy man who, came up with all 666 commandments that led to this.
Yes, here's that one berserk character.
He's leaning so hard. He is literally
I guess
standing
he's
on
Griffith,
tippy
but-
toes and and he's JoJo posing. Yeah.
He's having a good time.
He
don't
is
think he
having
has
a
a
good
face- I
time.
don't
Nobody
think he has
else is
a
having
face
a good
anymore.
time. But yeah, so Dramaturge of Despia is a Dark Fairy level 8, 3k attack, 1500 defense, so I believe that's the swapped stats of Maximus. If a Fusion Synchro Exceeds or Link monster is special summon except during the damage step, you can target an effect monster on the field and negate its effect until the end of this turn. If this card in your hand or field is used as fusion material and sent to the graveyard or banished, you can special summon him back. You use each effect of Dramaturge once per turn. So yes, Dramaturge is another card you have seen. It is used in setups because it means that if a monster is summoned, you get a negate. And also, if you use him as material, he just fucking comes back. And also, he's a big boy. So yeah, there's a lot that's going on here. But as you would expect from Maximus, he is kind of the big bonkle. But there are naturally, this is a fusion archetype, so there's got to be some fusion cards, some fusion monstos that they've got. So, this is Despian Proskenion. I see, you're all in stunned silence.
Oh, I remember now. It's the fucking statue.
Yes,
That-
this is Dogmatica Nexus.
I
It took me
really
a
think I'm
second.
uncomfortable.
This reminds me of a thing from Destiny Child.
This should honestly probably reminds people of a lot of things. Like this weird goop guy, the twin dragons with the core. Like there's a lot that's like this. By the way,
could see.
no, go ahead.
I also can see like some like Taimana and shit because it's got like it just got a lot of spikes and orifices and eyes and like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just uncomfortable to look at it because it's just.
And guess
it's
what?
Like an anime Hellraiser thing.
This guy's gonna be more dumb cards later because it keeps getting fused with stuff. But for now, this is Proskenion. That name, by the way, comes from technically it's a word in Greek that refers to the space in front of the backdrop, but we come to understand that as the main stage. So basically, the area in front of the backdrop, the stage floor. So this is the stage. I know, it's weird.
There you go.
Also, I want to point out just how fucked up these are. These guys have like little weird golden bridles they're chewing on, like they're fucking leashed for a carriage or something. It's just ugh.
The chariot of the Despian heavens.
I do not like this. Anyway, so Despian Proskenion is a light fiend. So this is the light fiends of the Fusion Boys. He's level 11, 32/32. It is a 3-mat fusion. You need a Despia monster, a light monster, and a dark monster. During the main phase, quick effect, target 1 Fusion Synchro Xyz or Link monster in your opponent's graveyard. Banish it or special summon it to your field. I do like that the Despians do keep a little of their anti-extra deck stuff, you know.
Dude, has someone run Despian Chaos? Because that feels like it would work slightly.
That brew has probably been
Just what I've heard of
tried.
this.
I'm going to guess you'd probably want to do it more in Master Duel or the OCG where Chaos Ruler is not banned. The TCG Chaos Ruler is fucking dead. But yeah, no, there's definitely got to be... the Yu-Gi-Oh! Fandom loves Chaos so much. I myself have looked at decks and been like, can I turn this into a Chaos thing? But yeah, so I'm sure that run is tried. This has some more effects, though. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict damage equal to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack or defense, whichever is higher. So, Proskenion is a big bonkulus. It has a quick effect during the main phase to DD Crow your opponent's extra deck monsters, or steal them. And when it actually gets to battle, it does have a Flame Wingman burn effect. That's obviously not usually that important, but if you're going for a big push, and also its original attack, which means other stuff you can do are not necessarily a problem, this can be a big slamma-jammer. And then we have another guy. The guy you probably see more. I know that Proskenion was not as popular because it's a 3-man. This one is Quiritis. Actually, let me make sure that's lined up properly. I've got this fucking text for scale.
This boy.
Quiritis. So, fun fact, chat. This card is named after a Latin phrase. That Latin phrase has 2 parts. That phrase is quem quiritis. It is a spoken piece of dialogue from a liturgical drama involving the 3 Marys seeking Jesus Christ. So, this card is a wombo combo of, like, Christian, mythos reference, a reference to an obscure theater thing, and also that name, Quem, is important later. Also, by the way, Quiritis is well, I won't say the final form, because this guy also fucking evolves, like, at least once more, if not 2 more times. But this is Fleur-de-Lis's armor completely taken over by the Despia.
Yes.
So there was the form of it as the White Knight of Dogmatica, which was just her fucking armor decided to walk around its own, and then there is this form, which is just all kinds of fucked up. Like, it's got a weird staff spear, Lance of Longinus thing, I'm sure is what they're going for, very Evangelion.
You beat me to it.
Yeah, well, you know.
Went over my head because I was thinking something else. 'Cause it more looked like a man catcher that then warped longer and sharper and then back on itself.
I mean, I think it's supposed to look like closed teeth because those are very definitely teeth in the center, but it's red and kind of spinny, and I unfortunately have to assume, because Japan is really bad about this, that anything that remotely resembles an Evangelion reference is an Evangelion reference, because everybody in Japan has seen like 4 things. Eva is one of them. It's a reference to Eva. It's a reference to a classical Kamen Rider.
The fucking just looking at his the eyes on the wings, just
Yeah.
because they're like all wide open, it seems like he's so shocked at himself. Like, what the fuck? I look like this?
Yeah, no, we're getting into proper late game Final Fantasy bad guy vibes. Now,
Biblically accurate angel.
if you can't understand what the fuck is happening, I also have concept art for this man. Ooh, there's a detail there that I didn't notice before. I kind of wish I hadn't. Hey,
no.
Axe, remember what you said about the spear? It's a Reaper weapon. It unfolds.
Oh. It's also a trick weapon.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool, actually.
I mean, it's sick, but also, like...
oh my god, it is just a Bloodborne weapon.
Very uncomfortable.
Wait, what is this image up here?
Oh, you're seeing, I think that's, Maximus being happy to see him.
Oh, no, sorry, no, I'm not pointing at that. Sorry, you guys can't see my finger pointing at the screen.
Yes.
I'm talking about, like, if you look at
Let
the
me see if I can get-
spear he's holding, there's a little speech bubble of just sword and shield.
Oh, yeah. Right, attack. It's. Oh no, that's because remember Fleur de Lis had 3 relics: her armor, her sword, and her shield. So that art is telling you that this weird spear thing is made up of both the sword and the shield. Why that equals weird trick scythe, I don't know. But also, I was alluding to look at this happy little Maximus down here.
I've made it. I've created the ultimate god killer.
Look at this boy. And that's a white
Mine.
relic with him.
My boy!
God, if this is an anime, that'd be like the post-credits joke sequence of everyone
Oh,
Chippy
yeah, it
Fork,
would.
where he's just like, I've made it. I've made the ultimate creation.
Look at
Oh
this
my
boy.
god, the fucking bent, like, spider or insect legs going down to the heels, but then that's also bent. Ugh.
Yeah, no, he's creepy all around, but, at least somebody loves him.
I just love the idea. Sorry, just seeing sword and shield point.
Yeah.
Listen, it's
You know.
it's a thing only a father can love.
It just
Yeah.
makes me... Well, because the icon looks very much like the sword and shield icon for Monster
know.
Hunter. That's what makes me giggle.
I mean, and it could be a reference, There's
Just
there's-
charge blade!
Listen, we've already seen some references that I think are pretty clearly meant to be vaguely Monster Hunter-like already. I suspect some of the artists behind the Abyss archetype like Monster Hunter.
I mean, like, Gorganga is, like, Gorganga Desert is just a Monster Hunter map.
Yeah.
Yeah, I showed the yeah. But yeah, no, charge blade. I love that weapon.
Queritis
Oh,
is
good.
a light fiend, level 8, 25-25. 1 Despia monster plus 1 light dark monster. So it's 2 mats, but it can be light or dark. During your main phase quick effect, you can change the attack of all monsters currently on the field to 0 till the end of this turn, except level 8 or higher fusion monsters. If this face-up card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can add to your hand or special summon 1 Fallen of Albaz or Despia monster from your deck. Use each effect of Queritis once per turn. So yeah, Queritis has a little bit of a weird effect where it draws out Albaz. I'm not really sure why exactly. I think we'll play into that later when we get into some of our plot stuff. But yeah, so some stuff be happening. But now I'm going to show you something, chat, and I need you to stay calm. Remember, it's only an image. It is not real.
It can't hurt you.
It's Masquerade the Blazing Dragon.
Physically reaches out and hurts you.
Minus 6
It
of your life
makes you
points.
pay $5 immediately for watching the stream.
Oh hey, it's your boy, Aluber in dragon form.
Yes.
I mean, would it make you charge $6, or would it be like 600 yen?
Probably be like 600 yen. I mean, 600 yen is close to $6. But yeah.
Which is funny
Well,
because I
that's
see
fine,
minus
yeah.
600 in chat.
I mean, I posted that. Minus 600. Hey everybody, it's your knockoff Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon.
Yep.
Tax Dragon, yes, as people like to call him. Masquerade the Blazing Dragon. He is an important boy. Interesting enough, by the way, this was called Kakushakuryu. Masquerade the Sparkling Dragon. I think Blazing is better. I know that they're supposed to be extra, but calling him Sparkling probably would have been a little too lowball. But yeah, this is a card you've all probably seen. So as Loth said, this is canonically, after being called out, Aluber assumes this dragon form. You can see a similar color scheme arrangement.
The mask.
Yeah, it's got the mask on its face.
The little branded things he used as horns are actually just horns now.
Yeah. I also find it kind of interesting that his wings still have the like stitch effect, like they're part of his cloak. It's very neat.
These fucking knee pads.
By the way, also I want to throw this out there. Despite being called a dragon, this is a dark fiend. Not a light fiend, not a dark fairy, a dark fiend. Level 8. 2,500 attack, 2k defense, pretty similar to some of the other stats we've seen. Its fusion materials are 1 Despia monster and 1 lighter monster. Gee, I wonder what Despia monster you could use. While you control this fusion summoned card, your opponent must pay 600 LP to activate cards or effects. If your opponent performs a Ritual Fusion Synchro Exceeds or your opponent controls Ritual Fusion Synchro Exceeds or Link monster, while this card's in your graveyard, quick effect, special summon it, banish it. Note. Hold on. Fight Exceeds. Okay, got it.
Bless you.
Thank you. Note. That means it does not get the burn effect if it comes back. Just that it special summons itself back. Because it's only while you control it while it's fusion summoned. That said, yeah. Masquerade... Masquerade is the one that really made the Branded Despia deck work because... and obviously he came out a little later. He was in Burst of Destiny. That's the same set where DPE is from. But this is where Branded Despia really started to get on the map. They started homebrewing decks that work. Because, one, Masquerade lets you win on time. And also, Yu-Gi-Oh! Players are really bad about activating cards or effects. As a person who has won several games off Red Eyes Flare Metal, sometimes your opponent cannot stop themselves. Actually, Chad, I don't think I've told this story on stream. I've been playing the Legacy Anthology Festival a little. I need to get into the Synchro Festival just to get some fucking gems so I can roll more Bestials. By the way, my personal conspiracy theory is doubled down by anecdotal evidence. I have pulled way more actual brand new Bestial Ultra Rares than I ever pulled fucking Tearlaments Ultras in pack ratios. So, like... I will go to my grave swearing you that they fucked with the pull rates of tiers in that master pack. If you want to prove me wrong, Konami, you better fucking give me all my ultras and dusts back. Jesus Christ. But,
Hey, look, I got the armed Neos icon with fucking Z-Arc. You can do
That's
it
nice.
too.
Yeah, I've got mine. I'm getting there. I need to get in the Synchro Festival, like I said, for more gems. More gems. But
That's gonna take some effort.
what I was going to say was that I had a very funny story. I came across a player running a similar but not the same deck as me. He was running Rocket Red Eyes, which is actually a brew you occasionally see because Red Eyes are all level 7s. There's a lot of level 7 Rockets. They're all Dark Dragons. So there's some funny interplay you can do there. But this guy knew I was playing Red Eyes and ended up doing the goofiest thing. This guy makes Beals. He sinks for 8 for Beelzus, the Darkabolic Dragons. Which, certain decks, certain rank 7 decks will play Beals for an FTK. Because if you have Beals and you have Red Eyes Flare Metal, the game is over. Because that forms a loop. I got a guy. he made Beals. He left Beals on the board. I made Red Eyes Flare Metal and was like, fuck it. We ball. And just killed him. I did the loop. I know, it's goofy. Goofy as hell. Anyway. Masquerade, it does stuff like that. Whenever your opponent, wants to activate cards or effects, they gotta pay 600. So it's very powerful and is part of a lot of strategies. And I think as the Despia part of the deck becomes less popular, they're still used a little bit. You don't see this guy as much, but obviously he fucking lived it up in, what do you call it? Despia builds on Master Duel. And in general, people know this guy. That's why I was like, be not afraid. Because you probably know this face and may have some associatedness with it. So, we got a couple more branded cards. Let me see, what time have we been going? Wow, I've only been going for like an hour and a half. That said, I'm,
Let's not push yourself too hard.
Yeah, you guys can probably hear me like coughing and sneezing and snorting over here, so I probably should not push too much further. I need to get some food and stuff. So we're gonna wind out after a few more cards. Let's talk about more branded cards though. Because first of all, we have, what it looks like when our boys first get into the tussle. Branded opening. So yeah, the brandeds start causing, not the branded specifically, the Despias start causing trouble in your neighborhood, and this shows us the Tri-Brigade realizing, oh, shit, this is bad. But yeah, you can see, I'm pretty sure comedy and tragedy in here, and yeah, it's got to be Coritis, who's turned one of his weird eyeball wings into a hand to grab Shirag's grenade launcher. So it'll be a little rough out there.
Your grenade launcher, my grenade launcher.
This card is also semi-limited to Master Duel.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a normal spell. Actually, no, it's a quick play spell card. Sorry, quick play spell card that says discard a card, take a Despia monster from your deck, and either add it to your hand or special summon a defense position. And for the rest of the turn, if this card activates, you can't special summon except fusion monsters from the extra deck. If a fusion monster will be destroyed, you can banish this card instead. So opening is like the other card. Oh, sorry, I just tabbed over to the regular version, and I was like, limited to the OCG. Wild. This is the card they picked on and branded to the OCG. Now that this card's not fucking annoying, but still. Opening is a very important card. It lets you immediately search or summon a Luber. Yeah, this one was very valuable. I can still see, I think the high price for a first edition is still like $50. The low price on TCG Player is now $175. So it's gone down in price, but yeah, opening, very important card. Because it lets you, like I said, it lets you hard summon your Aluber to get that started, and also after it's used, it protects one of your guys, because, that's the thing that every fusion archetype needs, is to put spells in graveyard that give you banish to protect effects. That's not really annoying and frustrating. So you've probably seen opening. It also matters for, like I said, lore stuff. And shows you that our buddies in the Tri-Brigade are not having a good time. Now, this is a card art that I'm going to show you that you've probably never seen up close, so you might not actually know what it is. It's branded in red. This is a card that, when you don't see it full size, is a lot weirder and blurrier. But no, this is actually what's happening in branded in red. This is explicitly Aluber is turning into Masquerade.
Yes. Makes sense. Brandon and White was Albion. This is this.
Yeah, Masquerade and Aluber. And yeah, no, it's just branded in red. It's got a lot of red. There's, the Burning City, the void holes above, the horns, all the other stuff.
We keep the amount of innocent people dead ambiguous.
Yep.
As you do.
So this is a quick play spell card. Target one Despia or Fallen of Albaz monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand, then add the following effect. Fusion summon a level 8 or higher fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials mentioned from your hand or field, but it can't attack directly. You can only add one Branded in red per turn. So yeah, red is a card you see a lot. This is a major searcher when it was added to the game off of Aluber, because it gives you the ability to recur your boys, and if you wanted, you can fuse them again. Yeah, in real life, it's a hollow, so it's just kind of blurry. Though there is a rare-only print in the Tin of the Pharaoh's Goods. Tin of the Pharaoh's Gods, so you can keep that one out there. But yeah, Branded in red is a fusion card, but is also just a recovery tool, and so it's very popular because it lets you just loop back your guys, Despia or Fallen of Albaz, in your graveyard, put it back in your hand, and then you can summon. So very, very important card. And obviously this was released in a Burst of Destiny, same time as Masquerade.
Quiet.
Yes, sorry, I was double checking. Okay. Yeah, well, I'll end it by talking about the... All right. I don't think that was necessary.
That was me.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
I was in the middle of telling you that I was grabbing something. Okay, so... let's see. Is this not in Master Chief?
Sorry, Omega, I need to do this. Omega's like, I got something for your love.
Well, we do have the gun click.
There's some delay between hitting the button and the sound.
Yeah, so okay, here we go. Now it's card art. All right. So it was mentioned earlier that Aluber did have a target in Dawn of Majesty, Despia, Theater of the Branded. So yeah, I actually, saying all that, I think I know what happened. It sounds to me like the TCG thought that it was supposed to search the field spell only, and then it was clarified by the OCG that, like, no, we wanted to search any branded card, actually, because this card is still searchable by Aluber post-errata because it is still a branded spell trap, but also it was a Despia spell trap. So this is Despia, Theater of the Branded. It's their spooky theater thing. But also you may be like, gee, this sure looks like a weird giant Iron Maiden thing. I wonder if there's something creepy inside. You'd be right. There's something creepy inside. You'll see it later.
Something creepy inside.
But yeah, I don't really know, other than the fact that it fits the theme, I don't really know why the fuck they call it a theater. But yeah, this is basically like the citadel of what used to be the citadel of the Dogmatica is now the main base of operations for the Despians. And it's as freaky and gaudy as you would expect. Look how ugly this is. You heard me, Maximus. I called your crib ugly.
So hello, Dallas.
Yeah. What the fuck? Sorry, I have been absolutely fucking floored. This must have been mandated by, like, a fandom thing they stole or something. In the theater for this, it says, this theater resembles the Gem Bastion from Kirby Star Allies, and it has a little, like, fandom heart next to it. Christ. What the fuck is this cross-promotion shit?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest here. The stuff from Kirby way darker than this.
I mean, usually yes, but it's such a weird call out. Anyway, this is their field spell. It's the theater. During your main phase, you can fusion summon a level 8 or higher fusion monster from your extra deck using your hand or field's material. If a face-up non-fusion fairy monster you control leaves the field because of your opponent's card effect or is destroyed by battle, target a level 8 or higher fusion in your graveyard, summon it. You only use each effective Despia once per turn. So yeah, Despia don't have a fusion spell. They have a field spell that allows them to apply their fusion effect, which honestly works out pretty well for them. And honestly, works for other brews as well. It's just any level 8 or higher fusion monster. You know, it's like Fusion Gate, but better. And
Hello, Dallas.
the destruction effect is useful, though, because it's aimed at Despia, because it obviously calls out fairies, but does have some other applications.
Hello? Speaky? Speaky. I'm speaking now. Okay.
Fan.
Definitely.
It's okay.
Before.
We could hear you clicking earlier.
Yeah, you definitely were just here and just not trying to speak.
No, I was trying to speak. 100%.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
what?
you know, you can watch back the stream and see how you be haunted.
I believe it. No, I believe you. I believe it was some fucking bullshittery, but...
Even Zeb
You
was
sure
like,
not-
hey, Dallas is here, make sure to... She's unmuted. Yeah, he was unmuted for a while there, because he was phasing. Also, yes, Discord has
arrived.
soundboards.
You've arrived at the theater, Dallas.
Yeah. It is very 90s comic book.
Yeah, we'll see.
I also think
Super
of, like,
bright colors.
I also think of like church mosaics.
It looks like they
Oh,
added
fuck
tassels
you guys put
to
on
a.
your churches.
Looks like they added tassels to a Easter egg.
I mean, the coloration can kind of resemble stained glass. I think that is a thing they've got going on. But pattern-wise, no. This is a weird...
I was thinking of like the mosaics of like hell and shit.
Those aren't actually in most churches.
Oh, okay. And I'm just thinking of like that kind of art.
Axe at his local Satanist church.
I have never been inside a church. So, if
Same,
you guys did, I don't
think.
fucking know.
It's
So,
It also looks like a... Okay, you know what I can't unsee now?
Yeah.
It looks like Dr. Robotnik built it. Did I break up again?
No, I'm
no, just
pondering this. Yeah. I mean, the color scheme definitely, but there's not like any R's or mustaches on it. It's not actually really that much of an egg.
It's true, but no. Hear me out here. This is like Shadow the Hedgehog and or Sonic Unleashed era Dr. Robotnik when the art style got fucking weird.
Sure. I'm not actually an expert in Sonic, so I don't know. Sorry, I had a thought. I'm
snooping
trying
as
to...
usual, I see.
It's definitely like cracking out of the old shell of the thing, but yeah, it's a weird one.
I mean, it's fine. I wish it was a better card.
Yeah, it's merely all right. It's very cute that they're
Pretty-
field spell fusion summons, but you have way better ways to do that. Now, I'll admit.
There's enough. There's enough branded Despia cards that you do not run this card.
Yeah, when it came out, this card was pretty important. This was in the first wave of Dawn of Majesty, but like I said, I'm pretty sure Burst of Destiny was the next set. That would have included Masquerade, Branded in Red, shit like that. So like, you started getting other options. Let me actually check when Branded Fusion was printed. We're not talking about Branded Fusion yet as a card because that shows events that we are not anywhere near.
Yep.
Okay, that was Albaz Strike, so that was a little bit after.
Branded
Burst.
in Red was right after this.
But yeah, Branded in Red was in Burst of Destiny. Yeah, same with Masquerade.
as was
so.
opening.
So yeah, it's a cute concept. I talked through how I think it was why there was that mistranslation that had to be eroded on Aluber. But yeah. Realize how late it was. It's almost 10. We've only been going for about an hour and a half, but that is our first look at Branded's and our whole look at Despia's That means next time is going to be Sword Soul and Mirror Jade, which will be fun.
Actually, try and make it next time.
Yeah. Well, technically, next week will be our
Jade.
poll results. Let me check on that real quick on Patreon.
Fairly sure gimmick puppets are not winning.
I'm pretty sure they're not, no. But you may be surprised. So let me pull the poll up. Oh, okay. Chat, you got 5 days left, and y'all remember how much I hate ties, right? So someone of you better fix this, because currently, believe it or not, there is a tie between Gaia the Fierce Knight, which I put on there because I know you guys like nostalgia archetypes, and also at 5 votes, Malefic.
Yeah!
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh no,
so
the world is going to end.
we are tied between Gaia and Malefics. Inzectors and Gimmick Puppets have
Hey.
1, Spiral has 2,
The
and
world
then
is going to
5
become
each
upside
Gaia
down.
and
That's an-
Malefic.
I see this as an absolute win either way, because I also like Gaia.
You
Honestly, I
know,
think that's why I
was
picked
gonna
Gaia.
say-
I think that's why I picked it,
I
'cause-
was about to say, I think Loth just wins.
yeah.
Why do all the other
No,
pick- why do all the
he
other
is that
picks,
Hulk
like,
meme. I
suck?
see it as an absolute win. But yeah.
Why do other-
No, that's wild. So you got like 5 days left to actually vote in that poll. We'll be doing the results next week unless something comes up. Our next Abyss one will be Sword Soul and Mirror
Wait,
Jade,
when
which will
is
be fun.
Is the Synchro Festival started yet?
Yes,
It
it just
has.
started.
Okay, I might try that out.
Omega, me looking at, was it Malefics and a guy having to fight.
Spoiler, I'm going to be playing some variant of Sword Soul.
If it's allowed. I don't actually know what the ban list is like. I mean, I'm still a little sickly, so I
mean,
don't know
it
if I've
is.
got the brain power, but I'll probably just run
I'm
more Adamancipator.
looking at Master Duel Meta. There have been 96 deck posts for the Synchro Festival. A third of them are Sword Soul tenure.
I'm going to run some weird abomination of pendulum magicians.
Well, Sword Soul is pretty decent. There's plenty of stuff to talk about there, but that's like I
can
said,
also
that's
do
for a couple
Sword
weeks from
Soul.
now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's our wind
Spoiler,
down.
Omega might kick me off of that podcast.
No, I know why you're there. Honestly,
I'm
a lot of
going
people
to
have.
correct people's pronunciation.
We have a lot of reasons to be excited
gonna
for.
do it.
I mean, I would be okay with that if only because like we can do a little preview. Sword Soul's really interesting because it's about swords and souls eternally retold.
Ice
But also
Shade
it's about
section.
dragons. Funnily enough, that's why they're all worm archetype.
Is there
All
enough
swords
Souls
and
or
souls
we
and
also-
dragons.
Are there enough Sword Souls or do we also do Ice Jades?
We would also be doing ice shades. There aren't actually that many sword souls.
And here's a preview of what I'm going to contribute. Spoiler, you've been pronouncing a card name wrong this entire time.
Not
Which one
genuine?
is
It's
it?
not Chi Xiao.
Oh, it is not Chi Xiao. Okay.
No, it's Chi Xiao.
Zhao?
It is
Okay.
Chi Xiao. Okay.
Oh, right, yeah, because
That
the
would
X is
probably
always
be
a
my
J.
first
Yeah.
instinct, but
X
then
is a
also
Zha sound.
X's
Or
are weird.
Specifically Zhao. Like the way that is spelled.
Zhao.
Unless they are using some like fucking like unless they're using like Tibetan pronunciation.
I don't
for
think they
some
are.
reason.
But yeah, talking about Sword Soul's etymology will be fun. Fun fact, all of the Sword Souls are named after legendary Chinese swords.
Yup. I know most of them.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one to talk about. And then we can actually discuss Ice Jades, which that's probably going to be an eye-opener for most of our fans, because I'm going to bet they have never seen an Ice Jade card other than Mirror Jade in the wild, probably ever.
To
I
be
know
fair,
Going into time of champ.
I would have run it in Master Duel if it hadn't had the worst release ever.
Yeah, it's a wild one.
Think it's still not fully released?
They might not have all their stuff. A lot of Abyss archetypes have a lot of weird late game support cards that are not released all the way, so it's weird.
Some of those it hurts way more than others.
But I need to go, refill my water and go about my business. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. I would like to say before we go, though, if we shadows have offended, think but this and all is mended. That you have but slumbered here while these visions did appear. And this weak and idle theme, no more yielding but a dream. There's actually like a whole bunch more
Nice.
lines to Puck's speech, but yes, we'll leave you off with that midsummer quote. By the way, expect that to come back in like a month when I do Wanted Oberon. I'll say the whole finishing speech.
Oh, can I still help with that?
Oh, if you got some input you want to do, yeah. We can workshop that later. I still got a fucking month before that goes. Anyway, chat, thanks so much everybody for tuning in. I'm gonna go before I go much longer so I can get some more water.
Yep. Thank you for all the people voting for Malefics.
I'll see you guys next time. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and consider throwing us some of your money bones. Not that I am in imminent danger right now.
Just to drive Omega insane.
Not that I am
No.
in any imminent danger, but it is hurricane season, so, you know, take care of yourselves first. But how I take care of me is you know, helped by you guys. And also, come back tomorrow for Final Fantasy XIV. I will make it to Stormblood. Good
You're
night,
very
everyone.
close.